Alright guys, welcome to Manifest Mowing. I'm Jay Morgan. Let's make the vision a reality. Alright, so in today's video we want to talk about solo lawn care. Why go solo? What are the pros? What is maybe some of the cons? And just lawn care in general, like what are some of the perks? So let's get right into it. Alright guys, first of all, I'm just going to start with lawn care in the first place. One of the major benefits that I saw to doing lawn care, and I still see, is guys being outside. Guys, even though it's rained the past couple of days, you can still breathe the fresh air, see the sun crack through the clouds, see the trees, the beauty of God's promise. I just enjoy it, take it in, and it motivates me to move forward. Being outside, I think, is vastly underrated and underappreciated by a lot of people. Like, just the fact that you get vitamin D, you get sunlight every day, guys, you don't understand how good that is for your mental mind state, well-being, and psyche. And when you do lawn care business for a living, you get your blood flowing, the sun shining on you, and guys, that rejuvenates you. It's good for you. And a lot of people underestimate it and undervalue it. And I realized when I worked indoors all day, it's hard to explain until you really go through it yourself. My mental state, my mood just got lifted tremendously. I feel like we were meant to be outdoors at least a certain percentage of the day anyway. And that's one of the things that just goes hand in hand with lawn care. So that's number one, but that has nothing to do with solo lawn care. That's just lawn care in general, but I feel like it's really, really important. And let's get into the perks of being solo. Because when you're solo, everything falls on you. Now that can be good, that can be bad. It just depends on if you're self-motivated, you're a self-starter, you can take the initiative and you can manage yourself. But guys, everything falls on you. The pricing. Whatever you want to make, whatever you decide your daily goals are, you can structure that. What services you offer. You don't have to go over with somebody else to decide, hey, do we want to do this? Do we want to implement this? You guys don't have to have a meeting of the minds and come together. You could just decide. Like whatever services I want to offer, don't offer, whatever I decide on, I just go forward and move forward that way. And it's all on you. And I love that, guys, because there's not a lot of moving parts that you have to go through to get change implemented. Whatever I decide there's a change I want to do, it's instantaneous. Once I make the decision, that's it. And when you have partners, it's not that simple. First guy started, I had a couple guys that wanted to partner with me, and we collaborated on some ideas. For the most part, they did their own thing, and I was doing my own thing. They were trying to collaborate. Because one of the main reasons they want to collaborate is because in a relationship, in a partnership like that, in my experience, one person is always going to bring more to the table than the other person. And see, I'm a go-getter, like I'm going to build it up. And what I realize is, okay, what am I gaining from partnering with this person? Most of the clientele, for the most part, is coming from me and my marketing efforts. And then when I looked at it from a work standpoint, like I'm really the more productive and more efficient worker. So at the end of the day, I'm just going to be splitting money down. And that's the thing, guys, as you expand, the money has to get split down. When you work by yourself, it's all you. So after all your expenses, and what I realize is the expenses really aren't that great. So you don't have to make as much per day to turn a decent profit, to make a decent living, guys. Like now, if you want to make, just from doing lawn care, yeah, if you want to, you can make 75, 80, 100, maybe a little bit more, 1,000 a year. Up to 120, depends on where you're at. Because if you're somewhere where you have grass growing all year round, like in Florida, some places in California, you can cut all year round. Yeah, you can make 120, 125, 130. But, I mean, you're not going to make $250,000, $500,000 a year doing solo lawn care. But you can make a decent living. Well, and the other thing is I realized, but I learned from firsthand experience. When you start bringing in people to work with you part-time, guys, you have to make sure that you have enough business, A, for you to turn the profit that you want, and B, for them to make enough money, for them to continue to show up every day. Because now, like, that's somebody else is eating into your profit margin. If you're not consistently making enough money, and if you don't consistently have enough jobs for this other person to make what they feel like they need to make every day, what's going to happen is they're going to stop showing up. And that's going to be an issue for you, because what will happen is now you've taken on all these extra customers, all these extra jobs, because you were planning on having help, And if you can't consistently have enough work for this other person to make what they want, now they might not show up. That's another problem I ran into when you have people working for you. Do they show up or not? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Do they show up on time? When they have really big jobs, guys, and you tell somebody, hey, we're going to be doing this job, it's going to be a 6-hour job, and you have a situation where you need to go pick up supplies from like a landscape supply store where you have to get like mulch or pine straw or rocks, or you have to go dump stuff off at the dump. Guys, these places have hours of operation. In my area, sometimes they close at 4, sometimes they close at 5. If you know a job's going to take 6 hours, you tell a guy to beat you at a job for 6, and they show up at like 1, now there's only so many hours you can work. And if I need to go somewhere where I got to pick up supplies, like it cuts into my day. And that's super frustrating for me. But what I realize is when I work by myself, that's not something I had to worry about. If I tell myself I need to be out at 8, I know I'm going to be out at 8. So, I mean, I always realize I can rely on myself a lot more than I can other people. Another thing to consider, guys, when you're bringing in other people, you're always on the clock. Everything is rushed. Everything's in a hurry. Guys, because you're paying for that time. The longer somebody's on the job with you, you're paying for every minute, every second, every hour. So you always feel that crunch of, hey, we got to go. What time is it? How long is this taking? Because that's money that's coming out of your pocket. And one thing I realized when I work by myself, like, I'm relaxed. If I have a job and I'm just mowing the lawn by myself, if it takes me 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour and 15, like I said, if I want to set up and record on the job, and it takes me an extra 15, 20 minutes setting up and recording here and there, it doesn't matter because I'm not paying for that time. So I don't feel as rushed, and you just feel way more relaxed. So that's another thing, the difference between working solo versus when you have to pay somebody, that you always have to keep in mind because you're always feeling that time crunch. Another thing that I thought about after I made this is, guys, your flexibility for your schedule, especially, guys, for you guys in relationships and have kids. Like if you are doctor's appointments or anything you need to schedule around, but you don't have to work around somebody else's schedule, it's just your schedule. It's just easy to accommodate things. Like anytime I have to go with my wife to a doctor's appointment, especially when she was pregnant with the baby, I just moved my stuff around my schedule. It was no problem whatsoever. And that was really a really wonderful thing with just working solo. Especially, I didn't have that luxury when I had a job, definitely. So just the flexibility of working around your own schedule is definitely one of the perks. So that, but also, guys, when you have people working with you and you're paying, time is of the essence. And it's extremely valuable. So I just wanted to make sure that got included. And the other positive of working solo, when I'm working by myself, guys, I do this every single day. Especially my customers, my regular customers, the layout of their lawn. Even if it's not a regular of mine, I take the time to walk the property. I know the layout of the lawn. So, A, I'm not tearing up stuff from their property. And B, I'm not tearing up my equipment. One thing you have to realize, guys, nobody's going to look after your business or your equipment like you. I've had more stuff break on somebody's property, like drainage pipes getting clipped with the mower, wires getting cut, things getting broken on people's property. 9 times out of 10, guys, is when I have somebody working with me. It happens with me every once in a while. But it's very, very rare. And you know why? Because I'm going to be cautious and careful and make sure, because I know, like, I really can't afford a mistake like that. Setbacks like that are bad for business. They slow things down. You got to replace stuff and recompensate for stuff and do insurance claim. And I don't like doing all that. Where if I just taken the time and been careful and carefully going over it myself, these things could have been avoided. But a lot of times when I have help, because they're working for you, and a lot of times they're just looking at what they're getting paid, they're not as careful, and these mistakes will happen. And then not just with that, guys, I've had more breakdowns with my equipment, with other people running the equipment. Because once again, guys, they're not going to have the same vested interest in taking care of your equipment the same way that you are. So a lot of times they're going to run over stuff and break the blade, and stuff's going to get torn up. And then it's not intentional. It's just, guys, nobody's going to have an invested interest in your stuff, your equipment, and your business, and taking care of your customers like you are. That's just the bottom line. Anybody's been doing this for a while, they'll tell you what I'm saying is true. So those are just some of the things I realized working by yourself. Like, working by yourself is just way less headache. Especially if you're a self-starter, you're motivated, you know you're going to go out here and get it done. You can make really enough money if you want to replace your full-time job. Really, if you want to, working like 5 hours a day, working solo. So guys, you just have to figure out what you're okay with. But I mean, being solo is great. But also, once again, I'm only talking from my personal experience. That's really all I know, but it's been good to me. Like I said, I was able to replace my full-time income. So you just have to figure out some things that work for you guys. But I mean, just not just solo lawn care, but just lawn care in general. I feel like just getting outside, getting fresh air, getting exercise is really good for you. So hope this helped you guys out. As always, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you on the next one.